when we talk about the personal impact, and Jay foreshadowed it a little bit. One of our colleagues at First Watch, he and his fiance, let us know a few weeks ago that they both had tested positive and had COVID. And you see, on those of you that are on Facebook, which I know almost everybody here is, you see those posts every once in a while. Does anybody actually know anybody who's had COVID, or know anybody who's died from it? And is kind of a denial strategy. Well, as things have moved along, less and less people have been able to say, no, we don't know anybody. And when when Dave let us know, and he's been public about this, so we're not violating HIPAA in any way, shape, or form, but he said it, had fever and kind of lost the taste and whatnot, but was sick. But his girlfriend had more muscle aches and was feeling worse. So that night I FedExed him a pulse oximeter because he's got a law enforcement background. He's not a clinical person. He's like, I said, so just check it a few times a day, and as long as you're, over in the high 90s, you're good. So he would text me every, couple of 2 or 3 times a day. I'm at 96, I'm at 97, I'm at 98, I'm 96, I'm 95. And then he's like, I get a text. He said, and my fever's gone to 107 and my O2 sat is 72. And before you ask, I'm already on the way to the hospital. And, he wasn't short of breath yet. He had a little bit of a dry cough, but he was not feeling like he was having difficulty breathing yet, even though his O2 sat was 72. And, got to the ER and they jumped on him and got, high flow O2 started, and things progressed. He started having difficulty breathing, ended up on BiPAP, was on the super high flow, 45 liters per minute, heated, humidified nasal cannula oxygen, and it just wasn't cutting it. And they arranged for him, through his kind of hypoxic and somnolent haze on Facebook to say he loved her to his fiance before they paralyzed him and intubated him and put him on a vent. And which is, it's terrifying to have somebody who you're really close to, somebody I spent countless hours on the road with, and we've, hours meeting with customers and dinners and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, he's intubated, and we know, at the beginning of this, if you were intubated, that was never a good sign, and there was a significant people that weren't going to recover. Well, fortunately, Dave is a young, healthy, no comorbidities, tough guy, and after 7 days was making progress, managed to get off the ventilator, and yesterday morning came home and is doing really well, and so that kind of brings home, and I know a lot of people listening have either had COVID or have had similar experiences with people you love and know and work with, and just there's this awareness that, and this is the first time, at least in my life, where the entire world has an elevated level of stress, and it is a stress that is, whether it's economic stress or it's fear of getting the disease or fear of transmitting the disease, or what am I going to do with my kids? Is my school opening? My school was going to open, but it's not safe, but now they're not allowed to open because we're a hotspot county. And I mean, all of these kinds of things, mixing things up, which is what everybody in society is dealing with. And then as an EMS professional, it's like, everybody else is told to stay home and stay away from sick people. And your job is to go to work and go towards sick people. And, so that all those risks and issues are huge. And without having the ability to, real time be able to dial down your stress, have the resilience to be able to manage your sympathetic nervous system response, activate your relaxation response regularly in the middle of work, when you're off work, and those kinds of things. Poorly managed threat stress is the setup for a whole host of physical and psychological and emotional problems. It's the root of heart disease, cancer, strokes, all the autoimmune diseases. It is the precursor to depression, anxiety, compassion fatigue, burnout, suicidal ideation. It's all part of that same recipe. And, one of the things we all have to do for ourselves, and as leaders, is to really help dial that kind of stuff down for ourselves and create leadership systems and structures for the people we work with that helps them decrease their own stress response. So I could go on for a long time about this, Jay. I'll give you a break and shut up for now.
So one of the strategies you can use is to actually schedule yourself a 5-minute worry session. Go ahead and like put in your smartphone calendar or whatever you use to track your day, and actually write down, I'm going to worry about COVID for a specific period of time, and then set yourself an a little alarm and say, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes, or if you really need to worry a lot, worry for 10 minutes, and just fully indulge in the worry for that 10 minutes and schedule it daily. And then when the alarm goes off, you can relax a little bit and say, my worry's done for that day. I've worried enough about COVID for right now. It doesn't mean you're not going to think about it later on, because you will. But knowing that, okay, I've worried about it, and I'm going to worry about it at the same time tomorrow. I've got my worry time scheduled, can kind of set it aside a little bit. I'll give you another example. This one comes from my wife and son. She's in the living room right now, and my son's on his own Zoom deal with a bunch of other second graders doing Zoom. But our son, Axe is his name, is 8 years old, and this is a few months ago. He was eating dinner in front of the television, which I know is bad parenting, but we do it anyhow a fair amount. And he was eating a rigatoni with marinara, and he likes a lot of marinara sauce on his food. And he still had half his bowl left, and he was carrying it back into the kitchen, and he tripped over one of his mini Legos. And my wife, Sasha, who's listening into this story as we speak right now, was standing in the kitchen, and I was able to see her face as he's kind of launching this kind of Rorschach of marinara sauce out of the bowl as he's falling. And Sasha, she really likes white furniture. We've got a white sofa, we've got white club chairs, we've got white table, we've got white floors, we got white paint on our walls. So she's seeing kind of this Jackson Pollock spray of marinara sauce, and I saw that initial look in her face, that startle response, and she's been working on her resilience as I've been studying this stuff. She's been exploring it as well. And she actually took a quick breath, and she muttered under her breath, she said, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? And she got this look on her face, and she said, surprise. I'm feeling surprised. And she looked at our son Axe. She said, Axe, I'm feeling surprised. Are you feeling surprised? And he looks up and he goes, wow, Mom, it's like I'm surprised that those are the words that are coming out of your mouth right now. And she said, well, let's just clean it up. And before understanding this principle about being able to intentionally label your emotion in the moment you're having it, 6 months ago, that would have been an upset mom and a feeling bad little kid. Instead, it was just, hey, this is a mess, we'll just clean it up together. So that process of labeling your emotion in the moment and actually, giving a verbal word to it. I'm feeling I'm feeling afraid, I'm feeling pissed, I'm feeling sad, whatever it happens to be, that gives you just a little bit of extra distance on it to calm yourself down a little bit. We're all washing our hands. It's frightening to realize how many people have learned how to wash their hands for the first time over the last couple of months. That's neither here nor there, but hopefully you've all got the full 20-second hot soap and water hand washing thing down. And it really is helpful to have super soapy, sudsy hands and hot water. The virus has a little bit of a fatty coating to it. So hot water and soap really breaks down that fat and renders the virus itself inert. It's not technically alive, but it renders it inert. So one of the things everybody talks about, singing happy birthday twice, or my son sings the Baby Shark song when he's washing his hands to make sure you get your full 20 seconds. Another thing you can play with is really during the time of washing your hands, think about two things, one for each hand, that you're deeply grateful for. Whatever it happens to be. Somebody, a friend of ours just set up a system to supply 500 N95 masks to our local hospital here in Santa Barbara. every day, and it's got a pipeline and a shipment and a system set up. And he's not in the healthcare business. He's not in the healthcare supply business, but he's a smart guy and well connected, and he managed to set that up. And I'm, grateful that he's providing N95 masks. Maybe you'd be grateful that your spouse's diagnosis turned out to be the flu and not COVID. Maybe you're grateful that your regular checking of Amazon you managed to catch when toilet paper was actually available and you got an order in, and the toilet paper is actually coming to your house. Whatever comes up for you from a gratitude perspective, grateful is part of a parasympathetic nervous system mindset and response, so it can decrease your stress response.
Jay, there's a neuroscience concept that's really helpful for leaders to remember, and it's referred to as the open loop nature of your limbic system. Where usually you see pictures of the brain and anatomy books, and this little limbic system there, and it looks like that's the part in the middle of your brain, and it actually is relational, and your emotions are contagious. And if you as a leader are constantly hijacked and stressed out all over the place, that gets communicated to your team. And if you're able to be cool and relaxed, that gets communicated to your team effectively as well. And the thing to keep in mind is that it's like you're in the front car of a roller coaster, and everybody who's in the cars behind you gets to go on the ride with you. And in this day and age, I mean, I like roller coasters, but I don't want to take people on a roller coaster ride. I want to take people. This should be it's a small world, not Space Mountain, for folks. And part of the way to do that is taking care of yourself and having strategies that you can use to dial down your own fear, change your fear into excitement, terror, and turn it into opportunity. And really project not BS optimism, but real. This is tough. We're going to get through it together. Let's work it. That aspect of leadership is so vital at this point in time.